Hello, it is me, Pearl, from Tuned In Pearl. I used to be called Tuned In Tarot. It's going to be weird for me to call myself Tuned In Pearl now, but I'm calling myself that because I'm not just a tarot reader. I'm a musician. I'm an esoteric text enthusiast, and I shall be posting content related to all things and not just tarot as we go forward in the future. I hope, YouTube, that you like my new backdrop. It is less chaotic than the backdrop I had before. I have the back on my wall now for support. I have in front of me, I can see the door. There's space if you want to come sit in front of my desk and get a tarot reading from me right in front of my desk. Now you can, because I'm in the power position in my room. What are we going to do today? We are focusing on, hi, Candace, good to see you. Hi, Velvet Mirrors, how are you? We are focusing on the general week ahead energy. And I had to ask my cards if I should read today, because I've been pretty conflicted about reading cards lately. But only because I could sense this stagnation in myself that was translating to the messages that I was channeling. But I have since understood that when there is no change, that is actually a sign that things are changing. So if you're experiencing this thing where you feel like things are not changing, it is a sign that they are. And what you have to do is remain neutral and not emotionally react to the lack of change with feelings of frustration or doubt that what you are trying to create isn't really going to happen. If you can attain neutrality in that place where things seem like they're not changing, things will shift and change. So now that I understand that, I realize that I still need to share this gift with the world that I have of reading cards, in addition to my gift of being able to teach, being able to do music and perform and record and produce. Like, this is also something that I love to do and feel very passionate about and I'm quite good at. So I don't want to give it up completely, but I did want to try to envision how my readings would feel when they are not coming from this place of frustration at the what appears to be lack of change. I now know that is an illusion, and it was meant to test me and to test my ability to hold the reality that I'm trying to create in my imagination, which is the part of you that is creating the reality all around you all the time. Wherever your attention is, that's what you're creating. So remain neutral to the things that try to distract you and get your attention, and you'll start to create things much faster. So that's my advice. YouTube, if you're having any technical difficulties, if the feed isn't going well, if the sound is wonky, hopefully my sound should sound very good. My microphone set up, hopefully in an ideal place. Everything should be okay. But if for some reason there's an issue, do know that I'm also live streaming to Tuned In Pearl on TikTok at the same time. For those of you on TikTok, if you can't stay for this entire reading, the benefit to me live streaming to YouTube is that that reading will be available to you after. Do not forget that when you go to Tuned In Pearl channel, that you make sure to check the live tab, because it's not going to appear in the videos tab. It's going to appear in the live tab. The best way to make sure you see all my live videos when I stream live is to subscribe to me. It will automatically put it into your homepage when you sign into your homepage when there's a new live. So if you are really wanting to see a live reading though, and you can't find it, make sure you click that tab. The other thing I want to mention is if you would like a private reading or to send donations, and I do really, really value all of the donations, from the smallest donation to the largest donation. I value them all. It helps me stay consistent with my ability to give you readings, because I can like pay for my internet and pay for all the things I need, like all that good stuff. You can do that at the link in my profile or turnedintarot.com. I'm waiting to get the Tuned In Tarot changed to Tuned In Pearl. Right now it's turnedintarot.com. But you can go to that link and you'll find all the different ways to interact with me. There's free guides there. You can see my music. There is a link which should now be inactive because it's the link for last week's discussion group, but there will be a new link posted on Wednesday for the discussion group on the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the complete papyrus of Ani, which we are reading together in this book discussion group. You do not have to have read any of it to attend the group. And you don't actually have to read it if you don't want to. If you just want to come and listen to the conversations about it, you're welcome to do that. If you would like to read it, there is a link to purchase the correct translation at passes.com/pearlsprayers. Same link, Tuned In Tarot or turnedintarot.com. Scroll down to where it says Pearl's Prayers. Go there, follow me for free, and you'll have access to the post that will show you the link that you need in order to access the correct translation of this book. You can also find it online, and I know one of the group members was able to find it at her library. So you don't have to purchase the book if you do not want to. You can probably find it at a library. I'm sure it's not like checked out. It's probably not checked out. So go ahead and grab that book if you're interested. And going forward, we will be studying ancient Egyptian texts, ancient scriptures and texts from all different belief systems, discussing a lot of those different topics, and also looking at things like in quantum physics, quantum field research, all that kind of stuff as well. It's not just going to be sacred text, but we're starting with that. So that's all available. Please go take advantage of that. And finally, the last thing I have to say is if you book an intuitive guidance call, understand that that is 2 sessions for the price of 1. You get 1 session, and then you get an additional session within 30 days of the first session you book, so that you can have 2 sessions for the month. I use those sessions. The reason it's called intuitive guidance and not just tarot is because we don't just do tarot, but you can, of course, have tarot readings during those sessions. So that is all. Now I shall proceed. I want you to center yourselves for a moment. Take a big, deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just release tension that you have, or if you can't release it, if it's there because of a lot of the thoughts you're having, understand that as you listen to this reading, that tension will be released, because these cards definitely reveal things that help you to release the stress and tension you're feeling because of the muddled thoughts you're having. But just start to get centered so that you can receive the message fully. And the first thing I want you to do is I want you to picture something that you think would make you feel better right now, better than you feel. Even if you feel good, just picture that thing. What do you think would make you feel better right now? I feel a cough coming on. What do you think would make you feel better right now? So, this thing that you think would make you feel better right now, I want you to imagine it's happening to you right now. Close your eyes and go within. And picture in your imagination, however you do that. Some people see visions, some people feel things, some people hear things. However you do it, picture the thing that you think would make you feel better happening right now. Got it? I want you to pay attention to some of the feelings that you have in your body when you think about that thing happening. Because your body is telling you how close or far you are to the reality of the thing you're thinking about. If you can really envision it and create it in your body and it feels very good, you're so close to that thing. If you're envisioning it and instead you feel stress and you feel the pain of not being able to experience it, you've got to lift some of those doubts, lift some of those anxieties before you'll see it manifest. And the real key to this thing happening that would make you feel better is if when you picture it, it no longer creates any emotional reaction in you at all. You become completely neutral. It doesn't carry an emotional charge. Because that is when you have internally shifted to a place where you are good, whether you have it or whether you don't. And that's the only space where you actually do start to see these things appear in your reality that you're trying to create. The card that I'm holding is what you actually need right now. What you were just thinking about is what you think you need to feel better. But usually, our ego has a story. Sometimes that story is one we don't even want to tell. You think, like, oh, I hate when my mom reacts this way to me. But prior to the experience where your mom reacted that way to you, you created a story about how every time you do XYZ or every time XYZ happens, mom reacts this way. So when you go into the experience and that's what she does, your ego, even though you're having a negative experience around this situation, your ego goes, see, I told you. And that is a feeling of satisfaction. And you're always seeking satisfaction. That's what you're always seeking. So if you want to get out of cycles where you're consistently affirming what you don't want to your ego, you have to remain neutral about the experiences you're having so that your ego doesn't get fed on that, right? So this is what you actually need right now that will actually make you feel better. This is coming from your higher self, not from your ego. And it is the Queen of Swords from the Thoth Tarot. So I am going to share with you the meaning of this card. I use a really great site called thothreadings.com, which has basically a virtual guidebook for this deck because the guidebook that came with it is like not the greatest. But I really love these cards. And one of the things that's really great about it is it ends with some questions you should ask yourself, some suggestions, revelation, and an affirmation. So you can put all of this in your pipe and smoke it this week and see if it helps you throughout this week, because this is what will make you feel better. Okay. The Queen of Swords represents the water in the air, thus supplying the qualities of emotion and sensitivity to the airy element, the agility to transfer and reflect, to form and create. As the mother of air, she will have a strong dominance of intellect. The Queen of Swords can be very sensitive, perceptive, sharp-witted, and intelligent. On the dark side, she can turn cruel, malicious, narrow-minded, bigoted, or even deceitful, dangerous too because of her charm and beauty. Being water in air, the Queen of Swords lacks the stability of the earth as well as the will of fire. So she can lack practicality, steadiness, running the risk to live in an idealistic land of her own outside of reality. Further, she is sensible to interferences and disturbance from the outside, unable to protect herself against it. I feel a cough again. It's very weird for me. For those of you that know that I'm fond of the Green Man, I haven't been partaking of his plant in a while. So it's interesting that I'm coughing because normally I only do that when I'm like on a bender. It's 111 when I'm saying this. Here we see the Queen of Perception and Insight. It's a hard thing to pull the wool over the eyes of somebody like this. They will look beyond the face we present and see to the very core of the being. That's one reason why this queen often represents a woman who stirs deep and complex reactions in the people who come into contact with her. Very interesting that I gave the example of having an emotional reaction to your mother as the thing that as the thing to demonstrate the point I was trying to make before about maintaining neutrality. So there is something very significant about what I said, and there may be something significant also with your actual mother or maternal figure or someone in your life that represents this energy for you. This can also be, don't worry about gender. It can be in a partner that you've chosen to focus on who is reflecting some of these qualities back to you. So that's one reason why this queen often represents a woman who stirs deep and complex reactions in the people who come into contact with her. They can feel uneasy, discomforted and awkward when being observed by her, but they may also feel open, relieved, and glad to have found somebody with such long sight. On a day ruled by her, which is today, we need to practice our own powers of perception. Rather than dealing with the imaginal psychic quality, which is rightly the realm of the Queen of Cups, we must now turn our attention to the everyday world. For though the Queen of Swords is often highly spiritually developed, she is also absorbed by the intricacies of the process of life. Therefore, she looks closely at what happens in life around her. On this day, try to remind yourself to study the interactions you have with others. Don't just deal with the face value. Struggle to seek behind that mask for the whole being beyond. Everybody takes up roles, plays out games, displays masks. We have professional faces which fit each of our roles. And we can become forgetful of the fact that every person we meet does the same thing. Only when we come to know a person well do we recognize the complexity that lies behind the mask. And in this, I'm going to say that I think this is really about understanding yourself well and the roles that you're playing and the masks that you're wearing. I recently was doing a course that was talking about masks and being aware of the masks and roles you were playing. And I thought it was interesting because I really feel that I'm an authentic person in that I do try to convey the actual feelings I'm having. I express my feelings. I let myself be who I want to be, think what I want to think. I'm opinionated and I don't care who knows it. Like, one of the reasons you're following me, I'm sure, is because you appreciate that authenticity and you feel that I'm genuinely telling you how I feel. And I cry when I'm sad and I laugh when I'm happy and I get pissed off on camera. Like, I don't really feel myself as somebody who hides those things. I'm a Pisces rising and a Leo sun, and that combination means I'm pretty bold about my emotions and about how I feel. So I was really interested when I started to do this unmasking activity when I discovered that I actually really do mask around the people closest to me because I feel they would not necessarily understand my spiritual woo-woo beliefs. The fact that I believe in these things that maybe would make me seem or appear delusional, I can be really open with you all about that because I know that if you're attracted to me, it's likely that you're very similar to me and that you would understand where I'm coming from. But I am living in my household with people who are not on that vibration, do not really pick up what I'm putting down, undervalue and sometimes even devalue my insight and input, ignore some of the things I want to talk about. And so I make myself small in my home every day, unless I'm up here in my room with Bowie, who unconditionally loves me and thinks I'm awesome and is really happy that I manifested our life together because that bitch is super comfortable over on her full-size bed over there. And you all who do accept me and believe what I'm saying and feel that it's true, right? And there's no way that being small around the people closest to me or pretending I don't feel a certain way or hiding that I think that if I literally just sit here and meditate and get into alignment that I'm going to have financial relief come through and I'm going to have public recognition and acknowledgement and that my music is going to be successful. And like, there's a part of me that understands their fears about that not being true because I carry a doubt about that. And so around them, I hide this part of myself, which means I don't fully own it, even though I'm working hard to own it. Okay. So explore your masks in particular around people that you are very close to. And for some of you it might be really obvious. Like you might know already that you wear a mask around your family. But I always thought I was pretty like, this is who I am. Fuck you if you don't like it, even to my family. But I haven't really been. There's been a lot of parts of myself that I hide. So this is something to explore this week that will make you feel better as you start to recognize where you're doing that, unpack it, and the next part, stop doing that, which can be challenging because it does require you to be able to handle some of the conflicting emotions you may feel as your version of yourself starts to get challenged by that old self-concept that the people around you are still attached to. The old version of you is an entity. It's a living, breathing entity. It exists at the same time as the new version of you. And it needs your attention. It needs the attention of others to stay alive. So it will fight to stay alive. It will fight just like a demon to possess you and to have others see that part of you. So you have to be willing to understand that there is going to be a testing that's going to happen each time you try to assert this new self. And your job is simply to remain neutral and not emotionally react. Now, the first emotion you're going to have is probably going to be similar to how you would react in the past. And the second emotion is going to be one that's filtered more through your mind. And hopefully your mind, conscious of how you're reacting to your past version of self, can start to help shift those emotions into a place of neutrality so that you don't react when someone thinks that you're an old version of yourself when you're not. You don't give attention to the old version. And sooner or later, they have to conform to your new idea of yourself because the old version of self no longer is getting time, attention that will keep it alive. Your drive this week is independence and freedom of mind and soul. The light that is coming through this week is wisdom, imagination, self-confidence, being perceptive, and graceful. The shadow that you are wanting to release this week is around coldness, inaccessibility, being cruel, and being deceitful. The advice for this week is you are on a path where you are increasingly breaking away from old roles and behaviors. It can be a painful experience, but it's worth it. The light you are getting into is liberating. These are your journal questions. So you might want to get the note app on your phone or get a journal so you can write these questions down and consider answering them this week. And I just want to say hi to Scooby Dooby Doo. I just saw a video you posted and was just thinking of you. And I'm so happy you're here. Also, welcome, Intuitive Bestie. Good to see you too. The questions for your journal are, I already did this last week, so I'm like, I don't have to do it, but I probably will do a little bit more journaling about it. What are the roles that you most easily and most often hide behind? I just shared with you what mine were. If you just came to live and you missed it and you would like to see that portion, I am live streaming to Tuned In Pearl on YouTube at the same time. So you can hop over there and pull the little arrow back and start at the beginning. And the second question is, are you ready to throw these roles that you most easily and often hide behind away? Are you ready to throw them away? The suggestion for this week is observe yourself in different roles. Some of you will continue to play, but now with greater awareness, you will play these until you identify with them. So this also means that if you want to assume a new role, like someone who always has financial stability, then you need to ask yourself, what does a person who is playing that role behave like? What do they think? What are the thoughts they have? How do they feel? And then you start to assume what that role is like. And that starts to be true for you. You start to project that out. People start to reflect that back to you. Your revelation is, my only duty in life is to remain true to myself. And your affirmation is, my life is a constant and glorious exploration. Now, if you're like me, the thing that you thought would make you feel better was anywhere in the ballpark of this card. What is going on? I'm definitely having some throat chakra stuff happen. Speaking truth, which is interesting here. So now this Queen of Swords is going to preside over this reading. Girl, you got to fit under my desk, though. Okay. So what you were thinking that would make you feel better, first of all, did you make yourself feel better when you were thinking about it? Because if you did, you just proved to yourself that you don't need the physical experience to start to feel better, which is the key to having the physical experience. So you're welcome. The second part of that is, if you didn't feel better, if you felt like I said some of you might feel like, oh, it just made you realize you don't have it even more, 1:22 on the clock when I was saying this, then that's just a gentle message from yourself that you still have quite a lot of doubt surrounding your ability to change your circumstances through your imagination. And that's okay. All you have to do is just keep practicing. That's it. But whatever that was that you thought would make you feel better, the truth is, what really makes you feel better is when you are not focusing on the negative emotions that accompany the things that don't make you feel better. When you become neutral about those things, and when you start to perceive your true self and behave as your true self, you will feel better. Thank you so much for the hearts. I hope that you get the insight that you need from this reading. I will be doing private readings at the end if you are interested, for $33, Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App to get on the list. But we have a little ways to go, and a lot of times your questions get answered in this collective reading. So stay tuned. All right, so this is the general week ahead. We now understand the energy we need to be carrying into this week is the Queen of Swords energy. Let's look at the overall energy of this week. For the masculine energy, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So the mind is focused on the heart, or the person in your life that is reflecting masculine energy to you right now is focused on their emotions, their feelings, you, being nurturing, being creative, tapping into abundance, feeling the independence that comes from knowing that your value and worth is inherent within you. And we have, for the feminine energy, the Chariot, which when I was hanging out with Lady Luna last night, I think this card came out maybe 3 or 4 times. It was crazy. We were dying. It was the 6 of Wands and the Chariot card, like over and over and over. And we were almost starting to get annoyed by it. It was so present. So this energy is very, very present. The Chariot is an energy of it. Well, it can be two things, because of the white and the black of this card. This is a card of polarity. This is either movement or stagnation. If there's stagnation, it's because the ego is trying to drive. We talked a little bit about stagnation at the beginning of this reading. If it's about movement, it's because you have surrendered and let go of the reins, and you're allowing that higher version of self, source, God, whatever you want to call it, drive the chariot. Now, when source is the driver, you can go very fast. When the ego is driving, there's almost no movement at all. There's too much fear involved. It's really difficult to get the two parts of yourself to work together. You're usually at war with the old self-concept and new self-concept. Letting go is one of the only ways that you can move forward. And it's part of what makes, I guess, creating the reality you desire difficult. Although it isn't difficult, it's really easy to let go. But you have fear surrounding letting go that you have to overcome first, for the most part. So overall this week, the masculine energy is really valuing the emotions, really understanding the emotions, show them what direction to go, surrendering to the emotions because the emotions are allowing you to connect with the divine. The emotional side of self, the feminine energy, is valuing the balance of the mind to the heart. So instead of getting carried away by our emotions, there is an understanding that we need to work with the thoughts in the mind to move forward. If we were looking at this as a general energy, talking about relationships, which is a lot of times what people want to know when they come to tarot readings, this would be the person who embodies masculine energy in your connection is thinking about you, if you embody the feminine energy, or you can swap that around. And you feel this desire to move forward. And there may be this feeling of independence that you have where you're just sort of letting go of the desire to be with that person and focus on what is really important to you, what you value, your creativity, your ability to attract abundance. And when you let go of the attachment that you have to that person and focus instead on your own wealth, the irony is that that person almost always comes forward in some way because they don't feel the pressure that you were putting on them before when you were clinging to them. So it looks like a week where the feminine energy is being valued And there is movement forward in a connection because of that. So this could be, this person is like, my feelings for you are so important to me that I am willing to come forward and work with you as a team and surrender to the flow of the divine, to the flow of this connection, to the flow of love, or whatever, however you want to say it. Full speed ahead. For some people, hopefully me, because I said I missed my car at the beginning of this when I started this live. There can be just really, like, when you see tarot readers read and they tell you, oh, you're getting money, oh, you're getting this, oh, you're getting that, all they're doing is looking at the energy that I'm doing. Well, some of them are just blowing smoke up your asshole. I hope you know that. A lot of them are doing that. A lot of people read tarot cards and have no idea what they're doing. They don't know where this insight or information is coming from. They talk about downloads from their guides. They see themselves as separate from those guides, as separate from all of that. And they really are just telling you what they know that you want to hear, because they want you to like, subscribe, share, follow, and send them money. And I would say there's probably an inordinate amount of readers like that. There's a smaller percentage of readers. Thank you for following me. There's a smaller percentage of readers that are genuinely interested in helping you heal the wounds you have so that you can move forward. And there's an even smaller percentage of readers that want to help you to figure out how to do exactly what they're doing themselves, so you don't need to rely on them anymore. Those readers are readers that are probably not going to have quite as much wealth and prosperity coming from tarot. It's probably going to be coming from other things because of the energy exchange that they're just showing you. This is how you need to do it. And if you know how to do it, then you don't need me, right? That's like not a way to keep chronic like income coming in. But that's going to be a very small amount of readers. But if I were going to do what those readers do and just look at those two cards, I would be like, it looks like somebody's going to get money and maybe a car this week. And like, because that is what it looks like. That's the kind of energy that's available this week. So if you've been like trying to manifest a car or something, or trying to manifest like a buttload of money coming through, the energy is fast moving and really, really good for creating that wealth and abundance. Okay, let's get going. I'm really dragging ass today, but there's a lot of messages that need to come through. So I guess that's why. Plus, I know some of y'all like the long readings. You like to spend a lot of time with me. I see you. All right. So what's underlying the energy of the Queen of Pentacles and the Chariot? Why do I feel so confident about you getting a car this week, getting some money, honey? Well, because the Emperor is in the heart space and the Nine of Wands is in the mind. And what we're seeing is the wounded feminine energy. We know that that this person isn't focused on wounded feminine energy because we see this healed, independent, triumphant energy right here. So that's not really an issue. What we're seeing is a completion of a period of healing, a cycle of healing. One where you were probably in isolation or another person was in isolation, licking their wounds, kind of dealing with victim mentality, feeling like reality was happening to them instead of happening for them because they literally directed it to do so with their mental and emotional state, which is something we all don't want to take accountability for, but sorry to tell you, it's on you to clean that shit up. But I'm not even needing to tell you that, because if you're here at this reading and you're getting these messages, it's likely you already know that and you did all that stuff. You have been cleaning. And in fact, you're probably really exhausted, super tired. Super, super tired. Especially because the energy felt so stubborn and so fixed, because that's the shadowy part of the Emperor, is this like it wouldn't budge. But I also don't fear that it won't budge, because what we see here is the Chariot. We know that there is movement accompanying this this feeling of, I know my worth, I know who the fuck I am, I know what I'm meant to do in this physical material world. I'm meant to be a singer, bitch. You can go listen to my music, Pearl and the Prayers. It's on all of the streaming services. And I know, you've probably seen other people who do this type of work, and then they're like, I'm also a musician. And you listen to the music and you're like, oh, that's nice. I swear to all things that are holy, if you go listen to my music, you will flip over backwards. You will not believe it. You'll be like, why isn't this like top 40? Because it's completely unique, I'm completely amazing. I'm saying that with my whole chest. Go listen to it. And you can click the link in my below in the description box or in my profile to go check it out. You can thank me later. I swear to you. I know my worth in the music industry. I did it for the last 20 years and I'm really fucking good at it. I produce it all myself and it's super cool. Okay? That level of confidence, boldness, ownership over who you are, over your authenticity, that is what this week is about. You were probably tired because it took a long time to get there, but you're here and you don't need to worry about backpedaling because you have all the skills and tools that you need, especially because all you really need to do is let go and let God, which is that, ancient truth. Okay. So, what are you carrying in from last week into this week that needs some attention? Five of Cups for the masculine. So, the masculine is still carrying in some awareness of regret and sadness. The feminine, we have the Magician. I just said you have all the tools. Did I stutter? I did not stutter. This card is all about having all the tools you need to be successful, to be able to create what you desire. The one mistake you make with this card is that you think you have all the tools, and then you're so arrogant that you don't remember that there is a co-creative aspect to the Magician. It's not just I have the tools, everything's working out for me. It's I have the tools that I need to be able to follow the inspiration that I receive from the version of self or source or God or whatever you want to call it that already knows how to get where I want to go. So I am able to co-create my reality, not make it myself, but co-create it. Because this version of myself, this ego version of myself, this is a temporal thing. This part of me, in a few weeks, all my skin cells are going to be different. My whole entire body is going to be changing all the time. So this version of me is impermanent. I don't even need to pass into the ethers to tell you I'm impermanent. I can just go do some exfoliating and tell you that I'm impermanent. Okay? We're impermanent. We're always changing. We change from moment to moment. We correspond to the grid that we're filling in with our minds and our emotions. So you're carrying in power from last week. That's also what exists in the Magician card. And you have the power to choose. You can choose to focus on sadness, regret, suffering, grief, loss, or you can focus on the two filled cups that still exist in the Five of Cups, all the good stuff. And it's up to you. And wherever you choose is going to bring you closer or further away from where you want to go. And the source that you're co-creating with never, ever, ever gives attention to the things you don't want unless you're doing that. It's going to follow your directives. If you say, I don't want to think about a pink elephant, it literally has to create a pink elephant for you to not think of it in order for you to not think of it. So it's just going to listen to what you say. It is no respecter of persons. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're good or bad. It doesn't matter. If you ever wondered why, bad people have all these great things happen and good people have bad things, why does that happen? Because as I learned from neuro knowledge, God is no respecter of persons. What you do in this lifetime, the only person that matters to is you, is how you feel about it. Because ultimately, that source energy is neutral. It's neutrality that creates the world. Which is why it's like, why is there good and evil? Because this three-dimensional world has certain laws that govern it so that we can experience the physical. And one of those laws is the law of polarity. So there cannot be just neutral, complete neutral energy. It has to be, you have to see contrast. Like if I drew a picture for you and I didn't put any shadowing, it would be two-dimensional. But if I started to put shadowing in, darken areas and have areas of light, you would start to see a three-dimensional picture. Bowie having a dream and making some noises over there in the corner if you hear her. So that's what you're bringing in from last week. Your ability to choose whether you're going to focus on sadness, regret, loss, suffering, or all the good stuff. And wherever your focus and attention goes, That's what you're going to create. Bowie agrees. All right. The current energy of the week. So we're bringing that in from last week, knowing, okay, it's up to me. I get to choose how I create my reality. I'm either focusing on the sad stuff or I'm focusing on the good stuff. That puts us here in this Hanged Man energy, which is disrupted by the Eight of Wands. So the Hanged Man energy is an energy of pause, but the Eight of Wands is an energy of movement. We already know this week promised movement because of the Chariot card. So I have a feeling that since we're surrendering to the flow of our energy, even though our mind is seeing no change, our heart feels the momentum. It feels the thing that's coming. If you're very frustrated by nothing changing, you're in luck. All you have to do is release the frustration because you know that there is change happening. If you can release your frustration, thank you so much for the rose. I appreciate that so much. If you can release the frustration and start to feel neutral about things not changing, you're indicating that you don't have an attachment to the manifestation. You don't have an attachment to things changing, and that frees up energy for things to change. That's how the laws work. So this week is really, really primed for you to be able to have huge shifts in your perspective when you start to embody this energy fully. The Hanged Man is about perspective. It's about going, it's a rebellious energy. This is somebody, everyone else is walking upright along, they're doing their thing, walking upright, complaining about their lives, feeling some type of way because somebody said something to them they didn't like, not making money, making too much money, not knowing what to do with it. Like, that is what everyone else is doing. They're walking around upright. They're ignoring all of the different angles they could look at their lives from, and they're just continuing along this path of stagnation. These are the people that are going to complain to you all day long, and you're going to get frustrated with it. And did you ever notice the people that complain the most a lot of times have a lot of the things you wish you had? And so you have to sit there and listen to them complain, and you're like, how are you complaining about this is your problem? That's your problem. Okay, well, what about my problems? Okay, but they are reflecting to you what's going on within you. Even if you are not verbalizing your complaints, if you're attracting a lot of people that are complaining, you probably have an internal dialogue going that you might not be fully expressing, but you're thinking it. So thank those people for showing up to show you what it is that you need to shift, because that's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. And if you can remain neutral about them, they also just kind of go away. Because if you don't keep perpetuating the energy of what they're complaining about, they're not going to be interested in talking to you anymore because they want to stay in that place. Okay. So most people walk around upright doing that. They look at the world in one way, they see that it's shit, and they tell you about it. Okay. The rebel in you, that's the part of you that has willingly gone off away from the rest of the people, hung yourself upside down, which is not easy to do and also pretty uncomfortable, and then looked around you at everything from a completely different perspective. That is the only thing that will help you to actually change your life. If you keep looking at things the way that everybody else is looking at things, my dear friend, you will stay with that same unchanging, relentless, looping cycle that you just don't understand why you cannot change it. 7,000 likes. Thank you so much for the likes today. I'm appreciating that so much. So what I am seeing is a flow of ideas that come from looking at things from a new perspective that allows you to finally make that progress. Like before I went live today, I was like, okay, I could carry in the thoughts I've been having. Lives, I don't get any money coming from lives. I don't see new clients coming from lives. TikTok doesn't show my lives to people. I don't get gifts. I don't get diamonds. Somebody just gave me a rose. I don't see a lot of people coming through my YouTube. There's a lot of things that I know my inner dialogue has been perpetuating, but I chose to put all the things I have been learning to the test today and embody my most authentic self, know who the fuck I am, center myself, feel the power that I have to be able to convey these ideas, because it's coming from a greater force than just little old ego, and let that be my truth today instead of all the other truths. And I'm having an incredible experience at this live. It feels so much better than the lives I've had. So thank you for validating my reality. As soon as I'm willing to shift my perspective and follow through with the inspiration, my world changes to reflect my desires. What's really interesting is before reading, I said, okay, I'm going to pull some cards because I don't even know if I should read today, if I'm like in the right mindset to read, because that's kind of been an issue for me. I shuffled the first deck I pulled. I was like, should I read? Now, when I ask a deck of cards for yes or no's, I have like a general thing where swords are no bitch. Okay. No. Wands are maybe. Pentacles are yes, but you have a little bit of work to do first. Cups are yes, honey, yes, 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 amen, yes. And major arcana is yes, but there's a major shift that needs to happen for this to fully be realized. So I said, should I read? And I got the Knight of Cups, which is yes, you should. You should open up to receive, and you should also give love. And then just to check, I shuffled this next deck. This deck that I'm using today, as I was getting ready to do the live, I'm like, should I also go live on, or should I was going to basically read the cards and record something and upload it. And then I asked, should I actually go live on both platforms? And I literally got the Knight of Cups again. So yes, bitch, you should. And here I am. And now we're here. Okay. Final cards for final tarot cards. And then we have a layer of oracles that I pulled. But the final cards, where will we go this week if we do nothing? So if you take no advice that I've spoken to you today, if you turn this off, walk away and go, okay, fine, I don't care about any of that, this is still where you will go. If you don't like it, you can take the advice I gave you to shift the outcome. If you do like it, keep going. You're doing a great job. You're probably doing all this stuff anyway, and it's all old news to you. Maybe you got some new ways of looking at it that are helpful, but you've already been shifted and changed by just sitting here and hanging out with me. What do we have in the headspace? Oh, I don't hate this. First of all, I want to say I don't have any reversals in this deck. So the fact that this came out reversed is like I'm rejoicing over this. And what is this card? The Moon. Very interesting. Okay. Interesting place to go. So the Two of Wands is an energy of restlessness. It's it's ruled by Mars, which is ruled by Aries, and it's an Aries card. So it's literally Aries to the Aries. And Aries energy is restless, is sensitive, is determined, is powerful. We already got the powerful Emperor energy here, which is also Aries energy. It can be aggressive. In this card, you have asked for something. That's what this card is about. The Ace of Wands is the Ace of Wands is all about your desire, a desire that you might have. And as soon as you feel this desire, you step into the Two of Wands, which is I like that. I want it. Okay. I like it. I want it. So now we're at I want it. The problem with the I want it energy is that's what causes the restlessness. Because if you want something, that means you don't have it yet. You're in a state of want. But I feel really good about the Five of Pentacles coming out in reverse. Because I don't have reversals in a deck, if I do get a card that's reversed, that's pretty significant to me. This is a card I would want to see reversed, because the Five of Pentacles is the lack. It is the focus on loss and grief that we saw coming up with this Five of Cups. It is the belief that you have to remain on the outside looking in. It is the energy of being orphaned. It is the energy of being poor, in poverty, feeling like you don't have enough, feeling like you aren't enough. And if you want something and follow it up with a feeling of lack, there is no way that you're going to get it. So the fact that we're seeing this turned around, reversed, is really, really positive. It's also coming with this Moon card. Now, the Moon card is also a two-way street, because every single card is a two-way street because of the law of polarity. The moon represents in its shadow things that are secret and hidden, subconscious beliefs, inner child wounding, fear, anxiety, and just a general sense of unease. In its light, it's all about our fantasies and our dreams. It's about the cosmic connection we have with the divine. It also has polarity in it. It has both, usually a black and white pillar, similar to, or two black and white dog, similar to the black and white energy of the tarot card. And for me, what this is showing me is that where we're going this week is we're having such a drastic shift in our perspective, realizing that as we do change our perspective, that shifts our energy into one where we can actually follow or go towards our dreams, move towards our dreams, see our dreams realized. If we're seeking a communication from someone, this can be a card about them finally communicating. They shifted their perspective. They understand it's time to talk now, and they start talking. But whatever it is you've been dreaming or fantasizing about, hey, thank you so much for the what is that? The confetti. There we go. That's what it's called. You are shifting your subconscious beliefs surrounding not having enough and tuning in to the great cosmic truth that you have it all, that it all exists within your imagination, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, it's all there. So this is a week of really awakening to that, awakening to your power to choose your path, to go in the direction of your dreams, and feeling supported in doing that by the energy itself, rather than feeling that the energy is not supporting you. It's like when you want to go on a trip and your bank account is empty. You're like, how am I going to go on a trip? It's being like, I want to go on a trip, and then being able to imagine the funds being there, and then the funds arriving because you could imagine it. That is what this week is going to be all about, which is why the Queen of Swords is important. Because if you're hiding anything from yourself, you need to shine a light on it and reveal it so that you can let it go, because you have to let the old self concept go in order to be able to shift into the new concept. All right, I pulled oracles for both masculine and feminine today because I was feeling generous. But remember that when I pull oracles for masculine and feminine, it doesn't mean that this one is for your person and the other one is for you. They're both for you. It can mean that your person may need to focus more on one energy or another, and you are going to probably align with what they need to focus on in their lives as well, because usually we attract people that are just showing us where we're at. For the masculine energy, we are getting the Page of Wands and the Thinker. Okay, we're going to look at these very carefully. This is number 44. And for the feminine energy, we're getting a really good card, the imagery anyway. The 10 of Wands, which shows salmon swimming upstream, and the Round and Round card in reverse. And this would be number 25. So let's unpack this. This is the final advice for you for this week. And then after this, if there are those of you who seek a private reading, you can send a payment, $33, Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App to the link in my profile. All right, let's look at the Page of Wands. Without reading this, I will say that this is about initiating energy, starting something, a spark, setting something on fire. That's just the feeling I'm getting. So there is a spark lit under the masculine energies, but and I did title this reading, Hold On to Your Butts, because things are moving fast right now. And I do think this week is going to give you a little bit of a head spin. I think it's also interesting that both masculine and feminine got wands, especially because we saw the Eight of Wands at the center of the reading. We saw the 9 of Wands. We saw the 2 of Wands. There is just a lot of wands energy, which is a lot about ideas, inspiration, action. Okay. Page of Wands. The key words for the Page of Wands are creative, confident, and enthusiastic. When thinking about these qualities, the bowerbird came right into my mind. This fanciful bird is an artist, a romantic, and it takes animal creativity to a whole new level by creating a work of art that seduces a mate. The bowerbird combs the land looking for bright, glittery, complementary objects with an eye toward the aesthetic as it designs an entrance to its nest. When the Page of Wands appears, your current situation will benefit from conjuring up a little enthusiasm, adding a little panache. Take a deep breath and call upon that courage you have burning within because it is ready to ignite change. Get excited, get motivated because there is no time to waste. Strike now while the iron is hot. If you have been holding back, waiting for some universal green light to let you know it's okay to go ahead with a new idea or opportunity, this is it. You are in a position to make a change. The Page of Wands asks that at this time you allow your creative mind to explore all options and gravitate toward those that spark passion. When you hold in your heart that you can achieve anything you set out to accomplish, you will find the confidence to take a risk that will lead to success. If you need inspiration, seek out the energy of the bowerbird, as this youthful and passionate bird will help you find the resources that will not only instill confidence, but also attract the opportunity you desire. This bird does not play small. It gets out there with an abundance of chutzpah, knowing that it has all that any mate could possibly want. That's the story it tells itself. That's the self-talk that allows it to be vulnerable enough to strut around as if it were a king. Creativity, passion, youthfulness, and enthusiasm are represented by the bowerbird. So this is your spirit animal this week that is going to really help you. Once you've done that work that we saw in the first card, which was identifying the roles that you're playing, take time and write that down, do that work. If you don't do those things, if you're not journaling, or you can talk into your phone. I don't care how you do it. But if you're not doing that stuff, don't come to me and be like, why isn't my person coming back? Because that's why. There's no other reason. That's it. You haven't done anything to shift your mindset. You haven't tried to find the hidden roles that you're playing. You haven't tried to shift them. You haven't tried to become your most authentic self. And if you're like, well, I have done that, I'm sure you have been working at it. But if you don't go into those deeper, more uncomfortable places, the things you don't want to do, the things you don't like to do, if you don't go there and touch on those things, it just takes longer. That's all. It takes longer because this is how you speed up the process. You can let life listen, people will be like, well, how come people have all this money and they do all this stuff and they don't even do spiritual stuff at all? Some people are born without the same boxes you're confined to, so they don't have to go through the work that you have to go through to get out of those boxes. Someone who's born into wealth does not have the box of poverty in their minds. Can they acquire it over time? Absolutely, depending on their life experiences, 100%. There are people that are just wandering around willy-nilly. All of those people will accomplish the things that they don't want and the things that they do want over time. That's definitely going to happen, whether they're spiritually attuned or not. The proof is in the pudding. There's a bunch of people that don't know fuck shit about anything, and they're doing it every day, right? But you're different. You have an awareness that there is a subtle energy that you can manipulate. You're a witch or whatever you want to be called. I don't care what you want to call yourself. You are someone who is aware of subtle energies. And because you're aware of subtle energies, you have the power to manipulate them. So you can actually speed up the process. You don't have to wait 20 years for that relationship to come through, because you can figure out all the inner child wounding shit you need to do now and be able to get into that relationship in 2 years. That's the difference between you and everybody else. You are the person that's willing to hang yourself upside down and look at things from a different perspective. So, like I said, you can get to this end stage without doing anything at all. This is where you're going to arrive this week, whether you do anything at all. But you can speed up the process of the manifestation by digging in and doing what Spirit is suggesting you do right now in this reading that you attended for the purpose of figuring out how to work with the subtle energies that are all around you. So go to it and stop complaining. All right, so the Page of Wands for the masculine energy. What does the feminine energy need to be doing? 10 of Wands. Wow, she seems like she's much farther ahead. But that's actually not true. She's actually one step behind, because the page comes after the Ten of Wands. From a distance, an idea you envisioned appeared so easy to reach without obstacles or complications to cause second thoughts. Now that you are knee deep and committed, the task is proving to be far more challenging than anticipated. With struggle comes the risk of drowning in self doubt, of losing passion and enthusiasm for something that once held great promise. The Ten of Wands brings the message that if you want to succeed, you will need to rekindle the fire in your belly to persevere, as you are going to encounter a period of struggle before you reach a successful ending. Now, we just saw the Page of Wands is what the mind needs to do. This is why the mind needs to do it. That's why these two things are related. So you have encountered a period of struggle before you got to the successful ending. You feel like giving up. How do I know that? Because this is the underlying energy of the week. The Nine of Wands. You're super exhausted. You just want to throw the fucking towel in. You're like, Jesus Christ, I've been doing this for so long. Why is nothing fucking happening? It's driving me crazy, right? You want to give up. You want to let those doubts pull you under. But the irony of the Nine of Wands is that you're literally almost there. We saw the Page of Wands come out, which is an incredible progression, actually, because we have the 8, the 9, the 10, and now the Page of Wands. That's literally showing that changes are happening, even though you feel like they're not. The Ten of Wands brings the message that if you want to succeed, you will need to rekindle the fire in your belly to persevere, as you are going to encounter, or have been encountering, I would say, a period of struggle before you've reached a successful ending. You may also see this as a sign to let go and release yourself from the burden of sticking to a plan, as you may come to realize that the struggle or obstacle is far more difficult than the reward should warrant. The Ten of Wands may also point to a situation where you will be the one doing the heavy lifting, as others around you wait to benefit from your efforts. Of course, if you fail, it will all be on your shoulders to clean up. So these are some of the fears that you're needing to dig out with that Moon card that came up. If you live in the Ballard neighborhood of Seattle, that's crazy. Katie was just saying she's on her way to Seattle. I love that. If you live in the Ballard neighborhood of Seattle and have small kids, it is almost obligatory that you bring them to the fish ladder at the Ballard Locks to watch the salmon make their way from the Pacific Ocean up into Lake Union on their way to their final destination, Lake Washington. I thought about the salmon's long journey when it came time to create the Ten of Wands, as this fish carries with it the power of perseverance. Call on the salmon's energy when you need help navigating your way through a difficult or tumultuous situation. Let its spirit help you find the confidence to move forward over each obstacle, with a knowing that you have within the power to climb higher, swim longer, and live with purpose. The salmon represents purpose, determination, renewal, and direction. That is what the feminine needs. The feminine needs to know she can overcome these obstacles. She is overcoming them as we are speaking. All right. And the final messages coming up for masculine and feminine. We have first the thinker for the masculine energy, number 44. Okay. The ability to reason and strategize is the focus now. Take things at face value and follow the logical path. Your calculations will prove to be correct. For this moment, there is no deeper meaning than what is obvious. Things are exactly as they seem. You have all the information you need. Keep it simple, and you will win the game of life you're playing right now. So the masculine energy doesn't need to overthink. You have everything you need. Don't need more information. You don't need to know more about what to do. You know what to do. And you don't need to stall anymore with the overthinking. Like, cut it out. In terms of relationship, the message is love is not logical. But when you choose a partner, it is good to have things in common other than desire. This is a time to weigh the pros and cons of your partnership. If there is enough common ground, go for it. If not, there are other fish in the sea. Don't force it to work. And should others tell you who they are, take them at their word. I'm going to repeat that for those in the back. Should someone tell you who they are, believe them. Okay? If someone says, I'm a loser, believe them. because that is their truth. They would not be saying that if they didn't believe that. So believe them. If you know that there is potential in them, you can choose to see the potential from a distance, okay? Because you don't need to be up and close in their grill having them asserting the belief that I'm a loser, I'm a loser, I'm a loser over and over again, because that's what their truth is. So get away from them. Don't focus on that version of them. Hold the potential version of them in their mind, the version of them that says, I'm not a loser. That version is the one that you want to be interacting with, not the one that is telling you who they are. And you're just like, no, it's not true. You think it's not true because you can see the healed version of everyone. You're like Christ, okay? You are Christ-like. You really are. You probably were raised in those beliefs and you became like Christ, and it's wonderful. It's amazing that you're like that. That is literally something we should aspire to, because Christ-like means that the reason why Christ could heal people is because he could see only their God self. He could see only their healed self. He was a guru, right? He could imagine the version of the man who could see that was blind. He could imagine the version of the person who could walk without the ability to do so. And he held that. He had faith deeper than and wider than anything we can possibly even imagine. That's the whole point of Christ. Whether he existed or not is sort of irrelevant. The idea of Christ is that you literally only see a healed version. Now, the problem is that if you have doubt within you, which you do, because you are anthropos, which means you are both human and divine. If you have doubt, and did Christ have doubt? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He went into the Garden of Eden and was like, what that? Or not the Garden of Eden. He went to the Garden of Gethsemane and was like, excuse me, I don't think that I should have to die, though. Are you actually real? Because this is scary, and I don't want to have to let go of this old version of myself and become like new on the off chance that I just made all this shit up, right? And then he decides to have faith and he surrenders. And even when he's on the cross, he has a moment of doubt. And he's like, why? Where are you? I thought you were going to be here, coming here and saving me. Why have you forsaken me? Right? So that's why we see him as both Christ and man, right? He's both things. And you are both things. So you have doubt within you. So when someone is presenting a version of themselves that has a lot of physical evidence around it, that is going to trigger your doubt about your ability to see a healed and whole version of themselves or yourself, whatever it may be. Your job is to let go of the doubt and just put your hands in the air like you just don't care and let the roller coaster go down. But when someone says, yeah, I'm no good, then go, okay, thanks for letting me know that. I will see you later. And then go imagine the potential version of them and don't try to interact with the real version of them until they show you evidence of the potential. You can check in from time to time and see, how are they doing? You're like, oh, they're still pretty far away from where I was imagining they could be. That's all you have to do. Just take your focus off of that version of them. Okay. Now is not the time to indulge in a fantasy, no matter what. In this case, the facts are the facts, okay? So don't keep trying to send messages to that person and seeing if they're stop thinking of themselves as a loser yet. Let them come to you and show you that that is not who they view themselves to be. And you're like, well, but my person is shy, or my person is an avoidant, or my person is all this. You're like, yes, that is true, because that is what you're saying is true right now. So that's what you believe. Okay, fine. Let that go and believe in a version that follows the passion of the Page of Wands, has overcome and healed, has no longer the desire to carry everything on their own, is able to come forward and say, hey, how are you? That's the only version that you need to fuck with. You don't need to fuck with the real version of them, because that real version of them is the old self-concept that they are perpetuating, that you have believed in with them. The prosperity message of this card is calculated action is called for now. It is important to sit down and plan a strategy. Focus on the steps you're going to take to claim your prosperous life. Lists are your friend now. So get out your journal. Write down what you're going to do today to signal to the universe that you're serious about attracting abundance. Your plans and strategies will yield wonderful results. Remember, your most effective strategic partner is spirit. You will win this game, and your triumph will be for the highest good of all. Period. Period. When you sit down to make your plans, you tell yourself, I'm going to win this game. You take that Queen of Swords energy that we talked about at the very beginning of this reading. If you missed it, this reading is streaming live to Tuned In Pearl YouTube, so you can go over there and watch it later. You probably do want to watch it later because there were some really important messages that came out if you did miss the beginning. Divine Feminine, you're getting a protection message from the Round and Round card. So what are you doing, Divine Feminine, that you need protecting from? Let's see. Let us see. Let us see. My thinking, without looking at this, is that if you step into your thinker energy and you're like, I'm making this plan or strategy, what happens in your feeling energy is that immediately you start to feel the fear of what has happened in the past, which is all the best laid plans you had just falling to nothing. All the things you wanted changing to ash in your mouth, right? So my thought is you're probably going to have to stop that cycle. But let's see. Woo! I actually already called you out on this, so you shouldn't get too butt sore when I read this to you. Are you refusing to see your own personal responsibility for repeating lessons you don't need to relearn? You have to surrender now to the fact that you are the common denominator in all of these repeat performances. But be happy, for this is a wonderful spot to be in. You can now see the cycles that you wish to exit. Once you figure out that you have the power to stop going round and round, you possess the key to your freedom. Be good to yourself. It's not about blame, but accountability. You can have the abundant life filled with love and prosperity that Spirit so wants for you. This reading has done nothing but assert that truth. So I hope that you heard that. And I hope that you see the gift in realizing that you're the common denominator. Because if you have been a person that's been watching a ton of readings about, oh, the karmic and this, and the karmic is doing this, and the karmic. First of all, do you understand that karmic just means lessons? It doesn't mean bad person that you're annoyed with because they're fucking a person that you want to fuck. That's not what karmic means. Karmic is just lessons. That's all it is. So get that out of your head. The second part is, are you really concerned with what's going on in the 3D? Stop doing that. It doesn't matter what's going on in the 3D. It doesn't matter. You can watch all the Neville Goddard stuff on the internet. You can understand the law of assumption. You can understand the law of attraction. Once you understand those laws, you get that, as the Buddha said, there is suffering, and this is all an illusion, which makes suffering itself an illusion as well. And you are buying into the illusion or not. And how do you do that? How do you not buy into the illusion? By remaining neutral when the illusion unfolds. Now, this takes a little bit of excitement and joy out of everything when you first start to recognize this. Because what you're thinking now is that whatever amazing, fantastic thing that you want to happen this week is actually no different than any bad and horrible thing that would happen this week. It's literally just meant for you to observe it. It's like I was playing The Sims, which is, as you know, if you know me well, you know that's something I enjoy doing to like get my brain to stop overthinking. I was playing The Sims, and I was thinking about how what do I do on The Sims? Okay, well, I have millions of dollars, so millions of simoleons, so that's fine, so I can buy whatever I want. But I actually have a character on The Sims that like came with its own traits, that she's materialistic. And I find it incredibly annoying because that bitch is only happy if I'm constantly buying stuff. I'm like, what more do you want me to buy? Like, it's so annoying. So I've already achieved this sort of thing that's like, I'm actually irritated at the amount of stuff I have to buy to please this bitch. So spending a lot of money isn't all that exciting to me now. Now it's kind of like a burden or a chore on the game. But you know, I have millions and they have this big house and they have a career and they do all these things. But there's no point, right? I mean, I guess my goal now is to like raise up a legacy of characters, because I always lose interest before I get like a family that comes from the family that comes from the family. So I'm like trying to just like stick with it through this legacy thing. Like that's my very like broad goal. And then of course, when they release expansion packs, there's some new things to do. But ultimately what you really just end up doing is like using your imagination to tell stories around the characters, because there's no other stories except the ones you're imbuing them with. And I sit back from that game and I'm like, why do I like this? What is fun about it? It turns out it's just really fun to like watch somebody like walk around their little dollhouse. Like, it's just kind of interesting to do that. You're just like, oh, look, that happened. And oh, that's interesting. And oh, that's fun. And oh my gosh, did you see that? And oh, this is fun. And oh, this is actually kind of frustrating. I'm sort of annoyed with this. And like, oh, now I fixed that. And that feels better. And like, oh, I got through that thing. Oh, she had that goal and now she accomplished that goal. Oh, that's cool. That's it. It ain't deeper than that. And neither is life. It isn't. It isn't. Like, the deepest part of life is recognizing that you're just here to like live it. And that's it. And then once you do that, you're like, wait, but is there going to be more for me to realize? No. But that's going to be enough. I keep logging into The Sims and playing. It's enough for me to do it. That's enough. It's enough just to exist. It's enough just to like eat really good food. Speaking of really good food, I finally followed through with one of those Instagram recipes that pops up all the time. And I've just said to myself, like, oh, you should make this. I literally have, 7,000, like, I should make this. But I finally did it. I took fresh cherries, pitted them with the cherry pitter my sister got me for my birthday. Love it. Cut them in half, put them on a piece of parchment paper, and then took allergen-free chocolate because I don't do like, I do it, and then I pay for it. But I try to not have dairy, soy, wheat, eggs. So I have some allergen-free chocolate, put some coconut oil in it, melted it, drizzled it over and froze it, and made like little, almost like little cookies that are OMG, super easy. I do not bake. I cook. Baking is classical music. Cooking is jazz. Okay. And I went to Berkeley. I went to Berkeley for jazz. So I like say I'm a jazz vocalist and I like to like improvise in the kitchen. You cannot improvise when you're baking. It destroys everything. No, not for me. So this is my version of baking. Okay. I took the cherries, I put them on the thing, I poured some chocolate on it, I froze it. That's my version. But it was really good. I highly recommend it. It's a really good little snack. And super delicious. I'm gonna go have some of that now. I hope that everybody has enjoyed this reading. I hope that you got the insight that you needed to have an amazing week, because that's my only goal when I do my general week ahead energy, is to ensure that you and me both have just an incredible time instead of a shitty time, because we've had enough shitty times in our lives that we can start to have a good time. If you want personal guidance, if you are struggling with some of these concepts and just listening to me talk about them on YouTube and TikTok is kind of not enough, and you need to use your own examples of what's going on in your life to get some frame of reference for this, please consider working with me. If you are very intimidated by the intuitive guidance call price, I understand that. The economy is strange right now. I get it. Please know that I will work with you on a budget, especially if you're wanting to have a few sessions, like let's say like 2 to 4 sessions. I don't think it's healthy to work with me for longer than that, because my goal is to show you what I do so you can do it. I don't want you to be like dependent upon me. But I guess the longest I really have worked with people is about 6 months. After that point, I cut them off. I'm like, okay, you can do this on your own. Have a good day. So 6 months is my cutoff point. Usually by that point, people don't need me. They don't need me. Maybe once in a while something weird happens and they're like, hey, I'm feeling like myself fall back into old patterns. I just need a little like booster or something like that. We'll do it. But if you want to work with me for a few weeks and kind of work through some of this stuff, get in touch with me. Send me an email, turnedintarot@gmail.com, or you can go to the Tuned In Pearl site. There's a place where you scroll down. You'll see an option to ask me. You can ask me anything. I'll get in touch with you and we'll figure something out. But if you are in a financial position to book an intuitive guidance call, I would be more than happy to start sessions with you and see if we can get you to figure out how to apply this stuff to your life specifically. And right now I will be doing on TikTok. I'm going to move over to TikTok. I'm going to turn my YouTube off. But on Tuned In Pearl over on TikTok, I will be doing live readings for people who, if there's anybody who wants them, $33, link in my profile, Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. And it is an in-depth reading also. So I will give you some bang for your buck. But thanks for being here with me. I will see you all soon. I don't know my schedule for this week. I am figuring out some new content that I'm wanting to make. I want to do some new content about this book, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and the man Wallace E. Budge who created it, or E.A. Wallace Budge rather, who translated it. And he's kind of an interesting, controversial person, and I'm going to make some content about him. So I might be posting that this week rather than a bunch of tarot. I'm not sure yet. So stay tuned. I love you all. Take care, YouTube. Bye.